Daddy eats lost. Daddy eats lost. Daddy eats lost. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me, as always, mostly as always, are Ryan and Maddie. Firstly, gents, how's the weekend?
Evening, fellas. Not a bad weekend up here in Brisbane, Vegas. We had cracking sunshine both days, which allowed us to get out and do a lot of family activities. Spent most of yesterday afternoon, this afternoon, sanding back a dining room table for the new place. So it was a lot of fun.
What was the reasoning behind sanding it back?
We're going to restain it. So Kimmy found a table on Gumtree, and then we decided let's just, rather than go out and spend a fortune, we'd painstakingly stain it back, and then away we go.
Some love involved in that. It's funny, I was driving towards a park today. We went to a park today. If anyone's in Melbourne, yesterday we actually went and did a virtual gruffalo hunt at Ripponlea Gardens. It's all done by augmented reality, which is great, so I'd highly recommend that. Today we went to a park, and while we're driving down the streets, and there's hard rubbish everywhere, and we're looking at stuff and just going, people throw that stuff out. There's just unreal amount of stuff that people throw out, which I go, there's nothing wrong with that. People just are too lazy to donate things or fix things up. They're just like, I want something new, I'll just go buy it, I think. So kudos to you, Maddie, for picking up something off Gumtree and putting some sweat, tears, and maybe some blood into it.
Yeah, thanks, mate. And I guess at the end of the day, we'll have a bit of a story to tell when we're putting my cold beers on the table.
Make sure you use the coaster. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, evening, fellas. I spent most of this weekend eating ice cream, actually. I got 2 wisdom teeth ripped out on Friday at about lunchtime. Nice and cruisy recovery weekend at home. Still went upstairs to the gym, though, and punched out 3 5K runs with 2 10K cycles in between for the marathon training that's well underway. But other than that, lots of watching this show called Killing Eve on Stan. Highly recommend it. It's like a psychological crime thriller about a British spy and checking out all these cool places in Europe. But yeah, pretty interesting. Although I was in Perth a couple of weeks ago and they had their hard rubbish stuff as well. And yeah, some of the stuff people were throwing out was really good. But interestingly enough, towards the end of the hard rubbish weekend, everybody's going around with utes and was picking it up before hard rubbish. So
yeah, absolutely.
Maddie.
We put stuff out the front before and had it gone within an hour. So just random things before. And that was a broken bike, which I hit a bollard with, which we discussed before on the podcast. A broken bike was taken within an hour of being put out there. It made no sense whatsoever. Pointing out that you were going for basically 35 Ks worth of running today as training for a marathon and not offsetting all the ice cream that you ate on the weekend.
Yeah, that was just a bonus of being allowed to eat all the ice cream.
But watching TV and Killing Eve and Stan is a perfect segue into what we're going to discuss tonight, which is TV dads and just, I guess, men on TV in general. And I think in the last sort of 20 to 30 years, probably since I was watching TV and taking note of various things, I say early teenagers, so maybe 20, 25 years, the way that men have been portrayed on television has changed remarkably. Have you guys noticed that the way that men are portrayed on TV, especially fathers, are kind of hapless, sort of no idea what they're doing sort of guys? Which is sometimes true, but often not.
I wonder if men are portrayed like that on TV because really, if you're watching that and your dad puts in a little bit of effort, comparing it to the hapless dude on the TV, you're like, he's doing pretty well. So if they set the standard really low, then you can actually kind of just be a little bit above the standard and get a lot of bonus points. Whereas if you look at mums in a number of these shows, they're super women. So it's kind of just like, oh yeah, dad's bar's pretty low. Oh, he does a bit more with me than that. He's pretty good.
I do like that. They're setting the bar so low that anyone can walk over it. But on the flip side, they're unfortunately setting a female's bar so high that no female can really even live up to it. So that's even probably worse, that it's making guys feel better just sitting back just going, I just kicked the ball with the kid today, and mums who haven't done everything across the house feel bad. So thanks, TV.
I wonder if it is strategic there.
Well, they're probably unfortunately, mostly produced by guys. So there could be something in that conspiracy theory there, Mr. Ebert.
Yeah, I was going to say it's better than the analogy I was going to give. My reasoning behind that was probably if they made it a dad who just went to work and came home and was boring, the show would be quite boring. But I liked Ryan's example a lot better than that. But I think you're spot on there, Kane, with what you said about the super mums and the hapless dads. Because a lot of the shows, actually, I wrote down a couple of shows here I'll throw in tonight. But a lot of them, they come from a big family, whether they're all boys or girls. The mum does absolutely everything. And I'll throw an example: Malcolm in the Middle, a 4-boy family there. The mum, basically saves the day in a lot of those episodes. The kids are all running around doing everything, and the dad again is a hapless dad who's got the best intentions in the world, of course, for his family. But a lot of the situations they get into are a result of the boys or the dad, and then the mum just sort of bails them out. So that's just one example.
But it might have gone too far where whenever the guy's around now, he's just a jackass who doesn't spoon his wife. Well, it's me.
Make a TV show.
I've pretty much asked every person that I've met, like who's not a client in the last week, if they spoon. So it's my new thing. I seem to be the odd one out. So I think there's only been one other person who hasn't really spooned at the moment. I'm up to about 6 people. So I was actually thinking of Bluey. Like Bluey's actually probably bucking the trend in that the dad in Bluey, and I didn't even know he had a name, and his name is Bandit apparently until I actually Googled that. Bluey is probably one of the first cartoons for kids which has sort of got rid of that absent-minded, sort of boring, hapless sort of father figure, because the dad is the parent who's always there. He's cool, he's funny, kind of imaginative, and he plays lots of games with the kid, but he also admits that he's wrong and helps teach the kid as well. So I think it's one of the first cartoons or TV shows in a while where the male role model figure in the parental role is actually not a dick.
I've heard great things about Bluey. I've only probably watched 5 minutes of one episode with the kids, but my brother is always saying how funny that the dad is in the TV show. So I'll have to get on board that. But does the dad in Bluey, is the roles reversed sort of thing as what we've probably seen as a traditional formula back over the last 30 years, where the Bluey's mum is maybe at work and the dad is staying at home? Is that what's happening in that TV show?
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of it. I kind of hear like my little fella laughing at it, and I've sat down with him a couple of times and watched it. And yeah, it does seem like the mum is doing more sort of work-based stuff, and the dad's doing a lot more around the home. So yeah, it is probably flipped on the head, but it's probably a good reflection of, I guess, what I was saying before about how it used to be the mum in that sort of strong role model role, where it's more the dad being shown in that. So it's a kind of a nice change.
And for those who don't have kids and watch children cartoon shows, what is Bluey?
Bluey's, well,
I googled this ahead of this, and I was like, the show. I watched a couple of snippets on the internet, and it looked hilarious, actually.
It is. It's fantastically well made. And I was reading a couple of interviews with the creator of it, and it's based up it's made out of Queensland, I think. And they build different sort of messages into it. It's like how Sesame Street back in the old days used to be basically broken down shot by shot to make it as educational as possible based in shot by shot. I don't think they do that on Sesame Street anymore, but each Bluey episode needs to hit on key things, as well as sort of having enough parental or adult jokes in there to make it funny for adults to watch as well, without sort of resorting to just sort of smutty sort of jokes. It's a really well made show, which is unusual for TV these days, which is on free to air.
I think that's one of the keys these days for those kind of TV shows. If you can get the parents on board, that's half the battle, because the parents will be like, "Oh, this is great. And that's something you'll sit down and do with your kid, as opposed to maybe say a Peppa Pig or another show like that where the parents will just put it on and just walk away, because there's nothing really in that show for the parents to laugh at or take out."
And the dad pig in Peppa Pig. He's the epitome of haplessness. He's just a spud.
Oh. I haven't watched it for a few years, but while me was going up there, I did watch a lot of Peppa Pig, and you're right, Daddy Pig is and the kids are always picking on him as well. They're just sort of taking the piss, and there's not much respect there for old Daddy Pig, which is
both
not a great sort of role model for kids parents out there.
Both the kids get stuck into him. The mummy pig does. I think his in-laws chime in a fair bit as well. He's cops it from all angles, poor old Daddy Pig, but he doesn't help himself either.
No, I'm surprised he hasn't divorced and left the family yet. But he doesn't help his own cause. No, he's always. One episode I remember clearly was he was adamant on finding a childhood place where he spent a lot of summers, and he got the family lost, and they were walking through jungles, and he remembered it being this massive big lake, and when they arrived there, it's this little pond, and the kids were like, "Oh, this is," and it's just another episode where Daddy Pig got them into trouble, and it just goes to show that the dad is just a slapstick.
He's kind of like the kid cartoon version of Homer Simpson, and Ryan, you'd be all over Homer.
I love Homer. I grew up on The Simpsons, and I think it was one of those things where I was like, are we allowed to watch The Simpsons? Because some kids were, some kids weren't. And she goes, because between 6 and 6:30 was the only time that you would shut up and not bother us so that we could cook dinner and get everything ready and get half an hour of peace. So The Simpsons was definitely not an episode where my mother wanted to join in and watch, that was for sure. But yeah, I mean, talking about Homer's dads, I would say Homer's the epitome of it. And then talking about, superhero mothers, Marge, for anyone who's seen The Simpsons, which I would say should be everyone, she is Superwoman and does absolutely everything. But I think that show was really, I do wonder whether growing up sort of in those 90s and early 2000s with The Simpsons and American Dad and Family Guy and all those kind of shows that kind of The Simpsons kicked off that stereotypical big American role model, if that influence in Australia sort of went alongside with the hapless dad image and why we all sort of think that, because it seems to be very American influenced. And I think, looking at Homer, he's certainly not the sharpest tool in the shed.
He doesn't even know how to use half the tools in his shed, as the barbecue episode so graphically represented.
We'll say that I've learned many, many life lessons from The Simpsons. So very well written show. But yeah, Homer's certainly not the epitome of what I think I would like to aspire to when I become a father.
Yeah, that said, there's particular episodes in The Simpsons where it gets quite poignant in the relationship between Homer and Bart and Lisa and Maggie, and then also the relationship between Homer and Abe Simpson is explored as well. They're actually really good episodes, a bit more deep and a little bit less sort of laughs all the time. So I think everything in moderation is good, but Homer's certainly more on the slapstick end than the poignant, deep and meaningful relationship sort of end, and that's why everyone watches it as well. I guess we used to watch it. I'm not sure how it rates anymore, even if they still make it.
Yeah, I think it's still being made, but definitely when I was back home, I got to enjoy a bit of Fox 8 and the old Simpsons episodes far and exceed the new ones. But I think you're right. Like, one of the common themes that I did notice on the show The Simpsons that was good was that there was always, when it did have that bit, I guess those deeper episodes or something like that, he always had the right intentions. So that was, always something good to look at. And I think another show that I sort of looked on, not so much cartoon, but watched a fair bit of growing up, was Modern Family. And Phil, the dad there, a very kind, loving, good-intentioned man, but probably still got a bit of that slapstick award, unfortunately.
He tried really hard though, Phil. Or he tries really hard, doesn't he, Phil?
He did. He had very, very hard. And he's a very loving and caring dad.
Which is the important part. And I think Bandit from Bluey's very much like that. Homer in parts is very much like that. I think, Daddy Pig from Peppa Pig's like that. It's hard to tell sometimes. They all just end up jumping in muddy puddles, which I think you get a cold and maybe pneumonia from, but they're pigs, maybe they don't. It's cutting. Who knows?
So glad I haven't watched Peppa Pig.
Oh, your time will come, my
think-
friend. Your time will come.
Yeah, it will, mate. I think the demographic is picking up on this good intentions, though. Like, is a 3-year-old going to pick up Daddy Pig's good intentions, or I mean, what age are we watching The Simpsons at? 7, 8? Are they going to pick that up, or is it more so we're looking back now and realizing that the good intentions were there?
Oh, I think it's you're right. I'm not sure a 3 or 4-year-old has that, or even a 7 or 8-year-old has that level of perception to kind of be able to, an emotional intelligence to sort of see through that sort of stuff. They just see Homer being a goof or Daddy Pig being a goof, and that's just what dads are like sometimes, and sometimes we are like that. And that's kind of real life as well. Like I also wouldn't strangle my child like Homer does with Bart.
Yeah, it was back in the 90s where, I think a few more things you could get away with some more things than you can now.
A bit more free and easy parenting back then. A slap here and a strangle there.
A little bit. I don't know that you could do that now, but I think, I don't think a kid would necessarily pick up on those things. But I don't think they're really thinking too much about the TV show dynamics and the family dynamics and that. They're just enjoying whatever humor or, I guess, stimulus that they get out of them. Yeah. Is there any that that wouldn't get a slapstick award? Any kind of ones that you go, oh, that's actually a pretty solid example for people to aspire to, or is it kind of not out there necessarily, which may be a problem in itself?
I think, as I said before, Bluey, I think, is an excellent example. That is really new though, so it's not like and it would have been a risk, like it's every chance of flopping, but it's really taken off. I think
have to go watch this Bluey.
I think Bandit, the dad dog in that, actually won Father of the Year canine variety really recently, in the last couple of weeks, as in he's considered that good of a role model compared to a lot of other people out there, that he won some awards. So yeah, I'll go with the award-winning father/dog. I'm just trying to think what other.
Though, I can't really think of anyone.
No, and even in sort of older shows, like I know Matt used to be a huge advocate and lover of Friends, even though it was a terrible TV show. The 3 guys in that, while they weren't parents, they were dicks. Different types of dicks, but they were all dicks.
I was thinking of that example today, actually, the Friends one. But there is even a dad in Friends who is trying to think, is he a good role model? Or does he win a non-slapstick award as well? But I think even he had some moments where he was a bit of a douche as well.
Yeah, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Both dads are dicks. Like,
I didn't even know that there were dads in Seinfeld, but I haven't watched too many. I was more the How I Met Your Mother era. And, definitely the guys in there would be, especially Barney, certainly not the right dad until right at the end of the season. So, I mean, that's one of the things I can't, for the life of me, like, I feel does plenty of slapstick stuff from Modern Family and that kind of thing, but I think his intentions give him a bit of the most improved award that people get in sports, or the trying the hardest award or something like that. I think he would get a Clubman award or something, but I don't think he would not get a slapstick award. But I can't, for the life of me, think of shows where you go, that's a really good example.
Yeah, do you think that's why we watch the TV shows though? Because they're not representative of real life? Because if we wanted to watch real life, we'd probably watch reality TV, which is not really representative of real life anyway. But do you think that the entertainment factor of these shows, because it is so far removed from what reality should and really is why we watch them?
I think it is. I think it's an escape to a different sort of, maybe there's a lot of guys out there who watch Modern Family and think, oh man, I just love to be Phil for a day and get away with some of the things that you get away with, or even, any example we sort of mentioned tonight. I think a great escape.
Oh, definitely.
I think the reality TV is definitely not. I mean, who's the Kardashian Jenner dad? I don't think he's a prime example of normalness, but you might be right in terms of, if anything, the TV shows certainly allow a lot of leniency on dad jokes. In terms of, there's some pretty good dad jokes that come out of Modern Family.
That is a very good point. That might be a good place to end it for today because, well, as I do always in my outro, is all about the dad joke. So that wraps it up for this week on Daddy Eats Last. Do remember to subscribe to Daddy Eats Last on iTunes if you haven't done already. And while you're there, please leave a review. Tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys. Most of all, thanks for listening. And we'll be back next week for another episode. Here it comes. Or should I say serving of Daddy Eats Last. How's that one for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.